What's going on, boys and girls? Today we're going to talk about a fragrance from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, and it's a familiar one to you, but I do believe it's a flanker. So let's see what it's hitting for. Strap up. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening, or afternoon, actually. Jeez. Today from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, we have Dolce & Gabbana K Eau de Parfum Intense. I actually don't think I've smelled this. I love the original K. I do think they have it as an EDT and an EDP. So let's see what the Intense is hitting for. The EDP, from what I remember, was pretty strong and long lasting. So I wonder what they did here. And matter of fact, we're going to definitely look at a comparison. Fragrantica DNG K. Or definitely do like a brief kind of comparison for sure to see what the differences is with the Intense. Sometimes with an Intense, they just increase one note or they add a couple of notes. We'll get to the bottom of that. This is a fragrance for men. This is 3.97. We'll round that up to 4. So definitely got to get your nose on it. And what I remember was that this was a kind of figgy, Palo Santo-ish masculine fragrance. I don't know if it had Palo Santo or not, but I definitely know it was a figgy, woody base, kind of gentleman's, but pretty good amount of sweetness from fig type of fragrance. This was launched in 2024. Eau de Parfum Intense preserves the energy and effervescence of Sicilian lemon and red oranges featured in the top notes. I don't want to read about notes. Yeah, it's just about the notes here. It's offered in 50 and 100 ml concentration. Going pretty affordably at this point. I'm seeing a 50 ml on Joma for 45-ish bucks, 55-ish bucks for the 100. Yeah, this is a great affordable fragrance. Let's see if the Intense is hitting just as good as the original. I like the EDT and EDP. So I'm excited to see what this is hitting for. 2 sprays on the arm. And immediately I get a nice juicy, slightly futuristic, but somewhat between natural and futuristic. If you guys hear my youngest screaming in the background, I promise he's okay. He's just very selfish. But right away, you just get that natural blast of kind of a masculine, almost barbershop-y fig, but super modern. Like, think about your more gentleman's barbers. You know, this would be a great, beard moisturizer or something like that type of smell. Just a nice, sweet fig on a very woody base with some citrus brightness. So it's mostly a fruity citric leather type of scent to me. Woody, even smoky a little bit on the Intense. Yeah, this is just a little bit more grown than K. I always felt like the EDT and EDP had such a robust sweetness on it. It wasn't too much sweet. Like the OG felt like 6 or 7 out of 10, depending on what your sensitivity is to sweetness. But it did feel a little overkill, I will say. But it's tolerable because, number one, it's fig. Number two, it had all that woody base to it, even probably leather or saffron or something like that. So it had some nuts under it to at least try to counterbalance it. This feels more my speed. They toned it down a little bit more. The citrus comes out a little bit more because of that. This is almost in the same way that, for the same reasons why I like Layton Exclusive from Parfums de Marly over original Layton. This is the same reasoning. They toned down the sweetness. They put a little bit more manliness under it. Still smooth, still has that signature fig. Yeah, this is a masculine masterclass to me. Now the fig's dialed in terms of sweetness to about a 4 out of 10, which is enough to smell sweet, but not enough to be the most important. I'm a little chapped here. Give me a second. I've always liked the bottle, you know, a nice dark, you know, blue ocean water slash, you know, it's almost like a glossed gradient navy type of thing with the crown on it. I always thought that was a decent bottle. Not the best, but definitely smooth. Something you'd like to have on your shelf. Yeah, really good. I'm interested to see the notes here. Let's check this out. It's very affordable fragrance. Dolce & Gabbana has been known for so much heat, it's not even funny. I think we sleep on just how diverse their catalog is. Blood orange and Sicilian lemon. You know, I truly get both of that. They're blended together very nicely. I get more of the Sicilian lemon in the opening, but then it kind of glues in with that orange. Fig and saffron. This is definitely figgin' and saffron and hard. But I think what's interesting is this composition is mostly about the leather and woods. It feels very much 60% leather and woods, about 30% fig and saffron, and about 10% blood orange and lemon. Now in the opening, the citrus part of it will feel more like 30-40%, with a majority of it going into that quick fig and saffron heart right away. But after a couple minutes, that citrus really fades away and you get a dominant leather woody smell with just a little bit of sprinkle of fig and saffron. I think for a fragrance like this, older men will prefer the Eau de Parfum Intense. Middle age group, you know, 20 to 35 will prefer original Eau de Parfum. And then whoever just wants a fresher take on these due to weather or preference will go to the EDT. But I don't see that many people buying the EDT. So I think for me, this is just the gentleman's version of K. Yeah. Hopefully this one doesn't struggle with performance. I'm really, you know, because it is kind of fading a bit. So moderate sillage. It is long lasting to moderate. So I think this is easily hitting north of 6 hours from what I remember wearing this fragrance. And yeah, this is pretty straightforward. So let me consolidate and we'll get out of here. Notes. Let me make sure I pull up my notes here to cover everything for you. So occasions, I'm thinking, oh wow, hold on. There we go. Occasions, I'm thinking work. I'm thinking evenings, you know, bar. There's something suit and tie-ish about this in the most flirtatious way possible. So it definitely feels like it's somewhere sitting on a line between, you know, semi-business. This is a work and pleasure type of fragrance. It's got the gentleman vibe to it. It's also got the flirty vibe to it with the fig, but this one's toned down more. So I would say if you want a more flirtatious bachelor business pleasure type of scent, you know, definitely go for the EDP. The Intense feels a little bit more work and no play, but it does have a good amount of sweetness under it. Think of this the same way you would think through like Jimmy Choo Man. Like Jimmy Choo Man Intense is this in this style. Yeah, I think you're going to clock easily 6 to 8 hours. But it does get lighter. It definitely has more of a lush opening, and then it becomes half the weight that it is, but that weight is still dense. So I would say, you know, since we're talking indoors, the season doesn't really matter as much here in terms of if it's a work scent. If it's a nighttime scent for you, which I definitely feel like it is, it benefits from a light breeze. You know, anything below 80 degrees, I think you could pull it off, ideally below 70. This feels like an afternoon, evening type of scent. Outside of business, you know, lounge, bar, theater, nice night out, you know, for dinner. I don't think it's more flirtatious. It's more semi-formal than it is flirtatious. So I would call it like a semi-formal with playfulness or flirtatiousness, but it is a gentleman's modern, kind of neo-modern scent. The fig is super toned down, so if you loved K for the fig, it's definitely the least represented in the Eau de Parfum Intense. But this is for that guy who said K was too sweet. I love fig, but not that much, and he wants more of the latent exclusive take with this style DNA, which is essentially mainly fig saffron on top of leather and woods with a little bit of citrus up top for that more beautiful, bright, juicier opening to the fig. The citrus makes the fig juicier, but also lightens it up. But that, again, the citrus fades off quite quickly and you're left with just fig and leather and woods. I'm a big fan of this DNA. You know, for a designer, this is definitely up my alley. Again, if you're a fan of Jimmy Choo Man Intense, what else is it kind of like? If you're a fan of ombre leather, this is right up that wheelhouse. Just really well-made scent. If you're a fan of any of the Bentleys, Bentley for Men, the Bentley Absolute. I mean, really any of the Bentleys are all gentleman's scents, but this is really nice. Performance north of 6 hours easily. Sprays, if I'm indoors, I'm going like 3-4 sprays because I think that'll go a couple hour distance, and then skin scent after that, which I'm totally fine with that. Outdoors, or if I'm just mobile and moving and shaking, I'm probably doing somewhere between 6 and 8, you know, respectfully. Price point, we talked about it. It's sitting around 40 to 60 bucks, depending on if you go 50 mil to 100 mil. They got testers of it. They, you know, I think since this one isn't as popular or talked about, there will be more of this available than the EDP and the T, but this is a mass-produced fragrance, you know, mass appeal in terms of the brand and what they're able to output in terms of availability. So I don't think you'll have any problem getting any concentration of this. Again, my recommendation is really just with the age group. You know, are you always at work? Are you a gentleman, you know, looking for that classy upscale designer feel? Are you a younger guy that just wants to smell a little bit more sophisticated? So this is more of a circumstantial thing that you bust out whenever you're kind of suit and tying yourself and wanting to look a little and feel a little bit older. Super young guys, I don't see you guys getting into this very much, to be honest with you. I think it's a little out of your, you know, not enough hair on your chest type of thing. It's not super manly, but it's got the gentleman tone. So, you know, as an 18-year-old kid, are you a gentleman? You know, you might only need a travel spray of this, even if you wanted to attempt it. But I find for the younger people, a fragrance like Eau de Ombre Leather from Tom Ford's just a little bit lighter weight, a little less dense, floats on skin a little bit more to really kind of match that age, you know, brightness. We talked about alternatives, price, score. I'm going to give this, I would easily give this, my heart tells me it's an 8, but politically I want to give it a 9. I think a lot of people would really like this. You know, it is signature scent worthy. It is dressed up for a designer. It certainly will sit above many of the fragrances in the designer world. So I wouldn't be mad at a low flat 9.09, but for me it's an 8 pushing towards a 9 for what I'm into. It's one of the better figs out there. Normally we see fig as kind of like a hairspray or fizzy fuzzy European coastally type of fig fragrance, a tea fig, a green fig, all that. This is none of that. This is leather fig, more down the lines of ombre leather. And this is a gentleman's fig, and you don't really get that a whole lot in the marketplace. So for uniqueness and everything, I'm at an 8, but a very high 8 for me. And I think it's a great fragrance. Again, this was Dolce & Gabbana K Eau de Parfum Intense, which I don't think a lot of people have spoken about. And it's a great fragrance. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. Talk to me. I do talk back. Hey, if you want to get active in this community, and it is full of all ethnicities, age ranges, genders, there's just a ton of people here catching on board, finally seeing what's going on. The channel's getting momentum. Everything under the sun in fragrance is talked about, from, you know, clone, dupe, niche inspired, artisanal, to vintage, to current events to new releases. Anything in fragrance that's going on is happening most frequently on this channel, and I assure you of that. So feel free to give the channel a subscription. It's free. You can survey the channel, check out my playlist section, and I do think very quickly you'll notice this is a very tried and true resource. I am not paid with advertisements and money from companies and brands. I am funded by the people. So we keep it authentic over here, and I hope you get to the next step in your journey in fragrance. Yeah, let's stop there. Hope you have a blessed rest of your week, and until next time, peace.